I really am just someone that is kind of selfishly involved with her mind and with her emotions and with her feelings. And I really wish, I do think it would be, I think it would be nicer a lot of times if I didn't have that kind of a mindset, or just honestly just a mind. I don't think it's a mindset I've placed upon myself. I think it just started at one point when I was younger, and it kind of never stopped, because ultimately I just loved seeing the progress of how far I could go and how much of myself I could change from something maybe more negative to something better. And I mean, seeing that growth is ultimately always rewarding, even if you don't, it's never like a thing like you go, like if you're playing a sport and you shoot a goal and you win a game, that's sort of like quantifiable right in that moment. I always do give a shit, because I'm incapable of not entirely giving a shit. Okay, if you're a man, immediately scroll away. This is obviously not for you, but I've just been coming across so many videos like over the past several months, like in regards to witchcraft and using your menstrual blood, because it has like so many crazy things like stem cells. Like, I don't actually really know what stem cells are all about, but I know that they're like important and really, really great. I don't know, I think I'm overthinking it. Hello, me, like literally. Confirmation. What do you mean, like women are the source of life and we bleed once a month in alignment with the moon cycles, and you're telling me there's nothing special in the blood? Like, of course there's something special in the blood, but of course they're not going to teach you this stuff growing up, because we as women have been shamed our whole entire existences. For as long as even before we've had periods, we've kind of known that it's something that's ew, gross, icky, disgusting, right? And like, it's something we hide. We hide our pads, we hide our tampons, we don't talk about this kind of stuff publicly. We're growing up out of that mentality that it's disgusting or weird or gross, because it's a natural thing that occurs in our body. Which brings me to the next topic, which is body hair on women, okay? And I remember the last time that I shaved my legs was before casual, and I shaved my legs for the first time also in a while, and I cut myself in 3 different places, and I bled, obviously. And I remember after that thinking to myself, I am never fucking doing this shit again. Like, why am I shaving my legs, cutting myself in different places? Granted, that probably means I suck at shaving, but I don't care. Like, why do I need to be good at this in the first place? And after that, it made me realize, like, I don't want to do this. This is so stupid. Like, why am I shaving my legs for a man? Like, this is so dumb. Like, it clicked in that moment. I was like, I'm injuring myself. I'm bleeding. For what? For what beauty standard? Like, do you understand what this means? Like, I feel like over the last years, I have really been working on my relationship with the shame surrounding my body hair, and choosing not to shave it for the most part, and going places and like exposing my armpits and having people see my armpit hair, and not feeling ashamed, not feeling embarrassed, not feeling like people are going to find me less attractive, because why does it matter in the first place if people find me attractive? Do you understand where I'm coming from? Right? Because I have had a deep-rooted, long-standing fear of being perceived. I know so many people can relate, and so it's just been something I've like really actively, consciously been working through the past, I want to say like 5-ish years. And obviously it comes in different stages and in regards to different elements of myself. I think there's different ways we can be perceived as individuals, also by different types of people, right? I am so sick and tired of this narrative that it is something disgusting and wrong and gross about women that they have body hair, because now I think we've known for, like, it's been kind of known for a while where it stems from, but I think now more than ever in the political environment of things coming about to the surface, we have the certainty that it is all rooted in pedophilia, beauty standards, like in relation to children. Like, it's literally rooted in wanting women to look like children, wanting to look like fucking prepubescent girls. And again, like, I feel like I've come across a lot of information speaking about that, but then when all of this new information comes about of the rings and the groups and the people and the things that are, just really brings it into perspective. Like, I have felt so much shame around my body and how I exist naturally as a woman because of standards rooted in Ophelia. Like, it really makes you acknowledge how fucking stupid and fucked up it's been that, like, we as women have been living a very large part of our lives feeling like there's something wrong with us and we should feel ashamed about things that naturally occur within our body. And we don't do the same with men. Obviously, like, we romanticize facial hair and sometimes hair around different parts of the body with men, right? Like, it is a thing to like men that are a bit more hairy. For some, that's not the case, of course, but like, it's absolutely disproportionate with how men perceive hair on women versus how women perceive hair on men. What else was I pondering upon in my thoughts? I don't know how I feel about this headscarf because I feel like I'm cosplaying somebody that I'm not. I feel like I just want to look tropical. Do you understand? Like, actually, let me just sit like this. I think shame in general has been a really focal point in my life that I'm working through in every element of life that it is attached to. It seems like I'm the kind of person that's constantly in a state of self-improvement and self-evolution and healing, and that is and can be absolutely a form of escapism from reality and from the real world and actually doing things. And I do agree that I've fallen into that trap in my life previously. However, it doesn't change the fact that even still, when I have found myself kind of delving more into that rather than dealing with things in my reality, I still ultimately gained something from that because I still healed something. I still learned a lesson. I still evolved. I still progressed. And even if in this regard I'm running away from something that eventually catches up to me and I evidently have to deal with it, at least this thing got worked on and healed. So I feel like it's still like maybe not a win-win, but a win, not win. And then in that way, it kind of balances out rather than like a negative, like a loss and a loss. Do you know what I'm saying? But with this kind of stuff, it's sort of something that I don't think you notice it until much later, even if you've been working on it for a really long time. But it's still rewarding nonetheless when those moments kind of come abruptly and a surprise even to you of like, oh my God, I just realized I healed that thing like 3 months ago and I didn't even notice it. And I obviously still want to live my life and I want to be present in the outside world, but there's also so many elements of myself that I know have issues with the outside world. Like, I have some fears and insecurities around like people and the real world, and I think that just comes from sort of seeing things with a clearer perspective. For example, like seeing intentions for what they really are rather than what people are pretending them to be. Kind of seeing through the fakeness, seeing through the bullshit, seeing through the masks. That's made me a lot more hesitant to be out in the real world more often than not, and why I much more prefer to be on my own, to be in self-isolation, or just around like my close group of friends. Because the real world can be a lot for me. It can be overstimulating, it can be scary, it can be overwhelming. It can just be really annoying and irritating, especially when you can see through the bullshit. It's just like, I can't be a part of a performative society and a performative culture of people because I'm no longer performing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to be part of the performance. I used to be part of this societal act, the societal performative performance. And ever since acknowledging my own mask, my own acting, right? My role in this performance, I stepped away, took off the mask, realized like, whoa, what am I doing? What life am I living? Like, this isn't real. Like, this is not rooted in anything real in general, and mostly with myself. And I'm kind of just living this life predominantly in favor of the performance and keeping up this act for the sake of other people and society that are also participating in the performance. And then once I realized that, took off my mask, got myself off the stage, it became a lot harder to go back out on the stage without the mask on. And so when I do evidently have to go into the real world, interact with people, it's so much harder. It's so much harder than when I wasn't aware and when I had the mask on and I could just, perform, when I could just act, because that's what everyone else around me was doing. And that's what I was doing because I had basically trained myself and society had trained me to be this performer, to be this excellent actress. And then I decided I don't actually want to act because it's making me miserable and sad and making me hate my life and myself. Or like I hated myself and my life throughout the whole performance. I just didn't realize it was because I'd been performing, because I'd been having this mask on and I never took it off. It's like if actors never leave their role. They never leave that character that they're playing. They have to be that character for like years and years and years. They're gonna be fucking miserable because they're never getting the chance to be who they actually are outside of this character. Basically, like showing up to the party wearing your real mask, wearing your real face. And I showed up to a masquerade party wearing my real face. I don't know where I was going with that, but basically, I just feel like I can't be in the real world with my real face because people are almost looking at me like, why aren't you participating in the performance? Why are you on the stage if you're not gonna wear a mask like everybody else is doing? That sounds dramatic, and obviously it's not every single person, but I think to an extent we all are performing in some ways because you never know who you're interacting with. Like, you have to keep up some kind of a guard because you never know what people's intentions really are at the end of the day. And someone can seem nice and they can seem stereotypically, like from a distance or just from a visual perspective, like kind and safe and not dangerous and anything, but like, you never know. And I feel with life, there's always been moments where I can look back and think, oh, I never expected this person to do this thing or say this thing to me. Ultimately, they ended up being the one that hurt me the most, disappointed me the most, shocked me, whatever, right? It's a really fun life, and I have no problem, if I'm being honest, like self-isolating because I actually enjoy my time with myself. I like being by myself. I do enjoy my company. I really don't have issues with like loneliness, and sometimes I question that. I'm like, are you sure? Are you maybe like too comfortable in the self-isolation and this being alone kind of phase of your life? But honestly, like, I'm vibing. I don't even miss like meeting up with people. I haven't hung out with a person in like 3 months because if all of my different friends met up and hung out, I really think it would be fun. And I know that sounds like, duh, you would say that, those are all your friends, but it's like, all of my friends are different people. I don't see a lot of them actually being friends. Like, I don't think a lot of them would actually be able to be friends, like real friends. But if we're just talking like one night, dinner party, whatever situation, all in the same room, I genuinely think it would be a vibe because I know I'm friends with like really good-hearted, kind, honest, open-minded, silly, goofy, whimsical people that are truly just like pure in their heart. I know that. Like, that's just, I pick them good, maybe not in the past. What is that need to always defend? Like, I'm not a bad person, I'm not this, I'm not that. Like, again, that's rooted in my fear of how I'm perceived. And I feel I still need to insert that sort of justification. Like, I promise I'm not a bad person, or I promise I'm not obnoxious or conceited or narcissistic or whatever. Because it's almost like I'm trying to prevent the person's mind coming to a conclusion that I can already like preconceive, prejudge, predict. So before I think they get there on their own, I'm sort of like inserting that cautionary warning of like, but I don't mean it like that. I promise I'm not this kind of person, or I don't mean it like that. Like, it's almost like I'm trying to control the conclusion and the thoughts of the person after they listen to me talk about something. And that's rooted in still my fear of how I'm being perceived and trying to control it. See, this is how it happens. I swear, I'm just such a natural at catching myself, at catching like my sporadic little trauma moments and insecurities and limitations and whatnot. And I honestly love that. I feel like it's a game. I feel like it's a game, and I find the puzzle pieces and I put them together and I'm like, ooh, another one. And then ultimately at the end, at which point you never really know with this kind of shit, but at the end there's like a nice finished puzzle piece all come together, and you can kind of look at it and be like, wow, I did that. But it's never like, it's weird because like only later on, like much later on usually, are you like looking back and realize like, wow, like I used to be this kind of person and I have come such a long way and have changed myself and evolved and progressed out of that. And it's never like in a one moment that it hits you. I feel like it's just like way later on that you're just looking back and you're kind of like, whoa, like I used to be like that and now I'm not, and that's cool, that's crazy, like, yeah. And then that's it, and you just have that one moment and then you keep on going with life. So much success in healing yourself and healing your wounds and healing your traumas and becoming more and more evolved, happier, healthier versions of yourself. I think there's nothing that I'm more proud of within myself than that. That's not to say I'm not proud of other parts of myself, but I am also just not someone that meets society's parameters of success generally, so I don't really have like that other element to fall back on. I kind of mainly have this one, which for a long time made me feel like it wasn't enough, and so I would obviously still fall into the fact that not meeting these societally set success parameters made me feel like a failure. And then I like the fact that I completely was discrediting this other element of my life and myself, where I had accomplished so much internally. Look at what I've done, look at what I've gained, look at what I've accomplished within myself. It's sort of more just like you kind of show it with your existence, but obviously you're not seeing everyone all the time. And then it's also this thing of like, but who am I trying to prove this to? Why am I living my life in the attempt to prove to other people that I'm successful, to prove to other people that I'm ticking the little boxes off of my life? Do I feel like a failure because I have nothing to show of my life? But then again, who am I showing it to in the first place? Why is that even a thing at all, that I'm like, I have nothing to show to who? To who? Why do you give a fuck to show to somebody else? What about to you? Could you look at your life and truly say, because you know your life and yourself and everything you've been through better than any other human being. So it's like, even if you don't have things to show materialistically, physically, and three-dimensionally, you still know that things have changed. Your life has changed. Things have progressed. Trying to not insert filler words or sentences, so I'm just remaining quiet as I figure out what I want to say next, which is having a mother that has been critical of you your whole life. I don't want to make it seem like I acknowledge that we're humans, more so that like I really can sometimes look at a person and be like, whoa, like you're an animal, like almost like I'm on some kind of a substance, having this kind of it sounds like a on a substance kind of realization moment that you have, which I have had that on substances plenty of time. I think that's where it originated for me, and then it kind of converted into my sobriety, where I sometimes will just be talking to someone, or a lot of times when I'm on public transportation it happens, and there's like a lot of people on the train, on the bus, on the subway, and I'll just look around and I'll be like, oh my god, everyone has their own individual lives. This person's reading a book, this person's on the phone, this person are clearly a couple, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is the mom and the child. And you're just kind of looking around at all these different lives and all these different, humans. And then really in those moments, weirdly, for whatever reason, it's always public transportation that like gets me to acknowledge the fact like, oh my god, we're all like here for the first time, figuring it out. We don't know why, we don't know what for, and we all have individual lives and stories and thoughts and feelings and circumstances and childhoods. And so that's what I mean when I say like I can really sometimes acknowledge in a certain moment like that we're humans, which is just so weird. It's such a weird thing to live away from your family for so many years and then to come back as a full-grown adult and done so much inner work and trauma healing, and like had so many realizations about herself, childhood, parents, parental relationships, all of it, and to come back and just be like, what the it just feels like a fucked up like drug trip. And maybe I am in one right now and I'll wake up from this. Maybe I'm doing ayahuasca somewhere in the Amazon and this is just me being a part of that experience, and I will wake up. That would have been so fucking cool if I did. It's so nice to acknowledge I'm not actually here, but I am, and I'm trying to make the most of it. But it's just, oh my god, trying to make the most of a situation where genuinely like you have to put in so much work and effort to actually try and find the positive. Yeah, so I just started retrieving my period blood and giving it back to the earth. Like, I've been pouring it under random trees in my neighborhood, and I don't want to hear a single goddamn person be like, that's like inappropriate or disgusting or whatever. I don't care. I really don't care. It's my blood, it's my body, and also like the trees don't belong to anyone, and I'm not like, it's not littering, okay? It's blood, it's natural, it's gonna absorb into the dirt, and it's probably gonna even make this fucking tree grow even faster and better and stronger. Do you know what I mean? Because period blood contains stem cells. What are stem cells? I couldn't tell you. I'm not a doctor, but I've heard that they're really great for stuff. I'm pretty sure they use them in like cancer research and cancer medication, preventative cancer medication. I actually am talking out of my ass right now in this regard, but do people care? I just like looking at myself. I don't know. It just makes me feel more centered and like I can always keep an eye out on my hair because it's always my hair. That's my biggest op is my hair. Think it'd be my mother? Nope, my fucking hair. Maybe I'll talk about the fact that I haven't shaved my bush in like years, and honestly, I never will. And if a man makes me feel like I'm unattractive because of that, goodbye. You're out the door. You're out the door. Because it's one thing if like you have a preference, which then again your preference is rooted in like beauty standards. Keep that in mind. Work on that. Work through that because that's gross. And I know that's not your fault. It's society's fault. But once you've acknowledged that, you can start to rework it. And also watching certain videos on the internet, you know what I'm talking about, have also influenced your, what's it called, your preferences. So maybe acknowledge that, work through that, because hair is natural on a woman's body. The same way it's natural on yours. So why are we shaming women for not shaving theirs and removing it, but we don't shave men? We don't shave men. We don't shave men and we don't shave men. We don't shave men, but we shave women. Why? Why do we have to buy razors? Okay, I cut myself every time I shave my legs. I haven't shaved my legs since 2022. I don't plan on doing it ever again. You don't find me attractive because of that? See if I care. See if I care. Because I used to. Because I used to care. Because society made me feel like if you're not perceived as attractive by men, you're less than. You're worth less and something's wrong with you and you need to change. And it's like, wow. That's really how they had us controlled. That's really how they had us mind manipulated. I'm not shaving my armpits. I'm not shaving my bush hair. And I'm not shaving my fucking legs. And you can fuck off if you find that ugly, unattractive, disgusting, unhygienic. What the fuck? Are you dumb? The article is called Fucking on a Full Bush by Mons.Monday. M-O-N-S full stop Monday. One of the best articles I've read on Substack, and it obviously like talks about the bush and the shame around women's body hairs and just generally how we're expected to upkeep our body so that we're desired and liked by men. Your identity that you receive in your formative years, that you live basically throughout your life, unless you actively go inward and change those things. And I've done a lot of changing within myself, so I don't feel like I'm American. I've never felt like I'm Russian. I feel at this point in my life, I'm just an accumulation of all the places I've been, for the most part, like all the people that I've interacted with, and like the different relationships and circumstances I found myself in, and ultimately as well, like my just identity of who I am as a person through unlearning the masked version of myself that has been hiding the real me for a really long time. Is it to say I'm better or worse? I don't actually think it makes any like logical definitional sense to say you're better than something else, because you have to then define what better means, and to every single living individual it means something different. A lot of times that obviously overlaps, there's like commonalities, but for the most part it's rooted in your own self-perception and sort of perception of like life and the world around you in general, and your own lived experiences, like your specific, unique, one-of-a-kind perspective of the world and of life and of humans and of yourself. So yeah, and in that capacity, I don't think it makes any sense to ever say you're better in one way or another than a certain person or a certain group of people, or anything like the comparison thing with other humans in the degree of better or worse doesn't make any sense to me. If I were to say maybe I'm more open-minded than Russian people, yes, I know it for a fact I'm more open-minded than the Russian people. Would I say I'm more self-aware? Also yes. And in our society, those traits could be described as better than their counterparts of like closed-minded and lacking of self-awareness. So that's again for each individual their own. I don't gain anything from thinking I'm better than other people in that regard, because I am so fully aware of my ego that even if it tried to trick me into thinking that and believing that and like holding on to that somehow, that grasping onto that feeling of like I'm better than these people or whatever, it wouldn't work, because I'm so aware of the fact that that's like also coming from an insecurity of like, why do you need to be better? Like, what are you compensating for? Ask yourself that, ego. Ask yourself what you're compensating for by trying to be better. Trying to identify as better. Yeah, so it just wouldn't work. So for the people out there that are like, yeah, like you're just trying to be like humble and whatever. No, I'm fully aware of the fact that if I were to say I'm better than this and this and that people, that's coming from an insecurity, and I'm fully aware of that. And maybe in some capacity I have an insecurity. No, you know what it is? It's just resentment. I just have like a lot of resentment towards these people. And maybe saying these people is a bit dehumanizing and rude, and I acknowledge that. I think I don't like saying Russians. I don't like saying the word. You know what? Especially now in this political climate, I find myself being really a bit on the, like, I don't feel like it's necessarily not maybe like safe, but also kind of. No, it's not all of the Russian people. I think a lot of them are a lot more open-minded, especially now with the progression of the internet and hopefully learning the foreign language so that they can have access to that information, because again, within the state, that kind of information is not being pushed. It's not encouraged. It's not even existing. Like, they don't talk about feminism here. They don't talk about trauma, healing childhood trauma. Nobody, like, if talking about having a therapist here is not something that's like a brag, the way that it is in Western countries, right? To sort of be like, oh, do you have a therapist? Of course I have a therapist, you know, but here it's like, oh, you have a therapist? Like, it must be bad. Because nobody would go to a therapist here casually just to discuss, like, deep-rooted insecurities or, like, their parents divorcing when they were 8. Do you know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff here isn't seen as significant enough or, like, significantly impactful enough to go to a therapist. Maybe, unfortunately, for other people, but I am the kind of person that's really in the belief that everything in life is an opportunity to grow, is an opportunity to experience, which I think is one of the ultimate purposes of life, and to learn about yourself, to learn about other humans, to connect with other people, to connect with yourself, to feel something, if anything, you know, just to really like live this human experience fully. So I know that there's something to gain for me being here, even if I don't really necessarily like feel thrilled about it and feel like, yay. Every other country that I've lived in my adulthood, even though I've always known I would leave eventually, like I was gonna move out of all of the countries I've lived in, because you know, like, I don't know if there's a lot of people that could relate to this, but like for me, every time I moved to a country, I always knew this is temporary. Even if it's for a couple of years, it's still gonna end with me leaving. Like, I always knew that this was never gonna be the place I ended up living in forever or for like a really, really, really long time. But that doesn't change the fact that even when I lived there, even though I knew it was temporary and I would leave eventually, I still, in the time that I lived there, I would say to people, oh, I live here. Like, I live in this country. But now that I'm here in my birth country, literally the country that I'm actually like from, technically, I cannot and I will not. I think it was initially, I didn't even notice that I was doing it. And then ultimately I realized, like, why am I doing this? And then that's when I kind of acknowledged it, that I can't bring myself to say that I live here. And I don't think I ever will, because I don't feel that I do. And I don't consider myself living here, because this is kind of involuntary. Even though, like, I brought myself here and I'm not like, there's no one to blame but myself.